right, another awesome day at the Crusader. We got Mr. Johnson here teaching microbiology and chemistry. How you doing, Mr. Johnson?
I'm doing great, Drew. How are you?
I can't complain. Doing great. It's summertime. Life's good. Living it up. But yeah. So what you been doing during all this COVID business?
Well, it's been an interesting time, I know, for all of us. I guess we've all been on kind of a steep learning curve. Got a lot of home projects accomplished as well over the past couple of months or so. But just trying to figure out the best way to help the students, during a time that was difficult for all of us, especially, I guess, in my situation, because both of my courses are so lab intensive. So not being there to actually physically do the labs has been a challenge. So just trying to figure out different ways that our students could maybe get some lab experience, either virtually or through YouTube or something, and figure out, maybe how some of this stuff would work. And again, it's been kind of challenging doing that, but hopefully this will be something, that we can maybe put behind us pretty soon, hopefully, and get back to something kind of normal.
Yeah. So when people are actually in school, how much of the I guess how many days out of the week would you actually work with uh, things in the lab? Actually, not just doing lecture, but actually getting in the lab and getting involved and testing that scientific method.
Yeah, that's a good question. With they're two disciplines. They're totally different, even though they're both sciences. Of course, one of them is kind of a life science, the other is a physical science in chemistry. But chemistry, we try to get into lab at least a couple of times a week, if at all possible. Now, micro, we may be in the lab 3 times a week in micro, because with micro, you have to actually grow the organisms and actually go back a day or so later and see what it's there. Chemistry is kind of a bang bang thing that you can do the lab and it's kind of done and over. But micro is a little bit more detailed in the fact that it does take some time to actually do the lab, initiate it, go back, look at your results, and so forth. So, but a couple of times a week, if at all possible.
Yeah. So you do microbiology. What is like a typical day? If I'm a student and I'm thinking about coming to Sacred Heart, what would like a typical day involve when we're actually going to work in the lab? What would that feel like?
Well, again, there's a lot of prep involved in microbiology. So my students actually, I try to teach them from ground level what they need to do to be a good microbiology student. One of the first things they have to do is actually, I have them create or prepare the media that is actually used to grow the organisms. And that's one day. And of course, the next day I'll take and actually autoclave it or get it sterilized so that they can have it. And then it would come in maybe the next day, and we would have a particular bacteria that we would need to plate. So they would take and actually put that on a Petri dish that has the nutrient or the agar in it. We take that and then put it in an incubator, which again would take a couple of days to grow. Then they would come back after that, look at the colonies that were grown, describe the morphology, what they're seeing, how the colony looks, and they actually take a sample and then do a gram stain, which they would take and then look at under a microscope, working up to 1,000 magnification. So again, like I said, it's not just a bang bang thing with micro. It's something that they would work on maybe the course of a whole week, working with a particular bacteria, because you have to have time to prepare it, grow it, and so forth.
Yeah. So that sounds like a college course to me. I mean, I know we're talking about high school, but that sounds pretty advanced.
It is, and we try to teach it. We try to teach it advanced. I try to give them a good experience, honestly, so that if they walk into a general micro class, maybe in their freshman year of college, that they would be very comfortable. We cover a lot of the topics. We cover, again, how to prepare things, how to look at things, how to grow things, how to determine what things are. And then we go, the first semester is more or less kind of a laying a foundation. And the second semester, we actually look at the different diseases and things associated with microbiology. So we try to give them a wide spectrum of of curriculum so that they can be prepared if they walk into a college freshman class. And that's the objective, is to do that. And it's it can be a little bit challenging, but at the same time, um, I feel like that they need that background so that then when they walk into that class, that they be ready to rock and roll with it.
Wow. So, I mean, and it really seems like you're setting people up. I know that a lot of students who come, to this college prep school are really concerned with being prepared for not just undergraduate degrees, but they're going on to professional degree like medical school. I mean, this has to give people an edge going into college and then ultimately going to medical school, doing this at such a young age, I would think.
Yeah, I hope so. That's a good point. And I've had students in the past that have come back to me after the class, and once they were in college, and say, hey, this is what we're doing now, and this is what we're doing now, and I remember doing that in your class, and we've already covered that. So yeah, that's the goal, so that when they do go into, and all the students that I have are not going to be science majors or doctors or dentists, but some of them are. And even on the chemistry side, we want to give them some things that would challenge them, but yet have they got to need to be able to also enjoy the class. So I think the hands-on activities in the lab, that actually the cool part about it is we can go from a lecture and then walk right across to the lab and actually do what we just talked about in a lecture. So, and then it being in the same room, I think that is advantageous, to that, and us being able to do that. So yeah, that's the goal, is to prepare these students for the next level.
Well, that's really cool, and man, I really appreciate you taking me on a little tour. Got to see the new equipment you got. Let's check that out real quick.
Good morning. Welcome to microbiology here at Sacred Heart High School. I want to talk to you a little bit about our curriculum here of microbiology. We were able to develop a curriculum and teach microbiology for the first time here in the 2019-20 school year. And not many high schools in the state of Mississippi offer microbiology. It's really an upper level science course that's really college preparatory in nature. And usually it's a junior senior class, where kids that are looking at maybe going on and maybe doing something in the medical field, or even in some area of science would want to take. But I want to kind of talk to you about some of the things that we were able to get as far as equipment. And again, I think this would be something that would be very unique to our school, that not many high school lab departments would actually have. And so one of the first things we want to look at here is the autoclave. An autoclave is just a cooker, a pressure cooker. It looks very much like maybe something that you would use, maybe your grandmother would use to can vegetables, because it's pretty much the same thing. But because of the nature of microbiology, and you happen to have a sterile or aseptic area, you need to be able to sterilize things. So with the autoclave, we're able to take things we need to sterilize, and for 15 minutes at 121 degrees Celsius under pressure, we can sterilize those things. So the kids learn how to operate this. Of course, it's very hot. They have to be able to do it carefully. It's under pressure. But again, it's something that they use, and we use an awful lot in microbiology. And again, it's something that it's very essential that you have. So this was a very, very important part of the equipment that we're able to add to microbiology. The other thing, obviously, that you have to have for microbiology, since you are looking at microscopic organisms, you have to have a microscope, but not just any kind of a microscope. This is not what is found in most biology high school classrooms or labs. This is a microscope that has an oil immersion objective. Now these little things here are objectives. And this is the ocular at the top. And this is a 10 magnification, and then you take whatever here is on the side. Say, for example, this was a 10, so you'd have something, look at something 100 times. Or this one's a 4, it'd be 40 times. Or this one's 40, would be 400 times. But if you notice this one here, it says oil, O-I-L, 100. So this allows the students to look at things magnified up to 1,000 times. And you can't really look at a bacteria if you don't have this type of a microscope. So this all objective immersion lens allows kids to look at things up to 1,000 times magnification so they can identify a bacteria if it's gram positive, gram negative, morphology. And the morphology is simply a big word for the shape of the bacteria. All those things are very important. So this particular microscope allows our students to be able to do that. So again, we're very fortunate to have these type of microscopes. Something else that's very critical is you have to maintain certain temperatures on bacteria. Most bacteria grow best at a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. Now 38 degrees Celsius, if you equate that to Fahrenheit, that's 98.6. So that should ring a bell in your mind. What is 98.6? Well, that's the normal body temperature for people. So that tells you that most bacteria grow best at 98.6. So we leave one of these set at 37 degrees Celsius. But because bacteria are so resilient and they can grow at so many different types and temperatures, we have another one that we're able to set at other temperatures. Some of them grow a little bit at a little bit higher temperatures. Some of them grow best at maybe a little bit lower temperatures. So we're able to be able to do that. So we leave one set at 37 degrees Celsius and the other one we can grow or leave set to grow whatever the particular bacteria would be. Now we don't deal with pathogenic pathogenic microorganisms in this particular class, but we expose kids to the concepts. But we do deal with a lot of different types of bacteria. One of the most common types is E. coli, which is a natural occurring bacteria in your stomach. And once it's in your stomach, it is fine, but then it can get out of your stomach and cause problems in other areas. But anyway, we do a lot of work with E. coli, a lot of gram negative, gram positive, different types of bacteria. And one of the things, of course, they have to have, one of the very essential things is our Petri dishes. And so we just take these Petri dishes, then we take certain media, and I'll show you here real quick. We mix up this media. Of course, then we'll take it, we put it in the autoclave. We make sure that it is sterile at that point, and then we pour it in those Petri dishes, and then we'll put it in the incubator overnight to make sure we didn't contaminate anything. And then we put them in the refrigerator so that we can use them later and use and grow our cultures on that. So that's just a few of the things that we have here at Sacred Heart in our microbiology curriculum.
All right, wow, that's cool. Getting to see all that equipment. Like, how did you get that stuff? And
Well, when we honestly, when I came last year to Sacred Heart, we really didn't have a lot of that. And one of the reasons we didn't is because microbiology, in my understanding, has never been taught there at Sacred Heart. And honestly, a lot of high schools in the state of Mississippi do not offer microbiology. So got with Dr. Yankai, kind of explained to her what I wanted to do, and through some donations and some different things, we're able to get some pretty cool equipment to be able to actually do the microbiology course. And of course, the most expensive thing that we obtained, well, one of them, well, the autoclave, which you saw, but also the microscopes are very nice microscopes. Again, they're not just a regular biology microscope. Those usually go up to about a 400 magnification strength. These actually have the ability to magnify 1,000 times, which is what you have to view a actual bacteria or a microorganism. And so you have to have an oil objective immersion lens to be able to see that. And that takes a special microscope and lens to do that. So that, again, is something that we're very fortunate to have, and really honestly couldn't do the course justice without having that.
well, it's important that you kind of put some perspective there that most high schools aren't doing this. It's another thing that really separates Sacred Heart from the rest of the pack. And that's, I mean, do you have like a wish list on what else you want to add to the lab, or you want to keep getting more materials, or what are your plans for the future?
Yeah, there are things that you need. We've actually just completed a grant where we've asked for some fairly nice electronic balance, some conductivity meters, some electric stirrers and different things that we don't have for preparing our chemicals that we have to prepare. Of course, some of this stuff has to be very accurate, so we didn't have that. So we've written a grant and applied for that. We should be hearing from that soon. Hopefully we can get that. And of course, there's always things. I understand that we're going to have more students in the fall that have actually signed up for microbiology. So therefore, that means more microscopes. And we'll need at least an additional 10 or so of those, because I want every student, don't want to share them. I want every student to have a microscope, to have ownership of it, so that they learn intimately how to operate that and become familiar with that. So that's something else. So yes, there's always things and chemicals and different things that you need to really make it the course what it needs to be. So we've been I think very blessed at this point, though, to get the things that we have, but we certainly could use some other things.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I tell you what, it's really nice to speak to somebody who's trying to make their world better and make it better for the kids, for the students. And man, so happy to have you a part of Sacred Heart.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I retired from public school, and um, felt like that I wanted to do something else, and of course had an opportunity to come to Sacred Heart and teach, and I've really enjoyed the experience. It's been a little different, but it's been great. Private school versus public school, but it's been very good. I've enjoyed the students. The faculty staff have been great. Just really welcoming, very friendly atmosphere and environment, and I've just thoroughly enjoyed my first year and looking forward to another year.
That's awesome. Hey, you have a message for any of your students who are watching at home?
Yeah, just hey, I know this has been some trying times for all of us, and I'm very, very thankful that we were able to get 3 full 9 weeks in. I know we had, the last 9 weeks we were not able to, but we tried to cover a lot of things. But looking forward to the year. Several of my students that I had in chemistry have signed up for microbiology in the fall. So guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you again, plus some new students that signed up. I think it's going to be exciting. We're going to have a larger class again than we have. We're going to double the size of our class that we had last year. So I guess, that's good that the word has got out that, that the students enjoyed the class. So that's good. So we're looking forward to that and looking forward to getting started and having a great year.
Wow, double the size of the class. Yeah, you're doing something right if you double the size of your classes in 1 year. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, we're excited about that. And again, we get, I think probably probably about half the class are going to be from chemistry students that I had, but then the other other part of the class will be other students I haven't had. This is micro is an upper level course. It's 11th and 12th graders. Now, chemistry that we teach is a 10th grade course, but micro is 11th and 12th grade course. So again, it's a kind of an upper level course that a student needs to be serious about if they're going to take it. And I really feel good about the students that I do know something about that I had for chemistry. I think they're going to do great, and I think the other students will do well. As well. So we're looking forward to that and excited about it.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to once we get back in this building. I know everybody's ready to. I mean, you got to enjoy your summer, do your thing, but I know everybody's ready to get back to it and kind of get back to a normal state of things. So
right, yeah.
And I really appreciate you for taking the time to talk about this. I know you got plans. It's summer. You need to be living it up, Mr. Johnson. So I won't keep you any longer. We'll keep it short and sweet. So, hey, have a good one, and I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate it.
That's great. That's it.